friends, so we'll paint today this a landscape, and it's basically just snow and the sky with a little bit of the some housing there in the background. But how do we create snow? It's super easy if you just use white gouache. You can just splatter the white paint and that's pretty much it. Or you can splatter water at the very end. So those would be like very tiny water droplets. You can also use some paint. And then you can also use masking fluid. So I'm going to splatter a little bit of masking fluid over there. In the background, I'm going to use a very small brush. This brush is basically Princeton's mini mop brush. You want to have like masking fluid really diluted. So I'm dipping my brush in water and then I'm grabbing a little bit of that masking. Okay. Now that's a little much, but I'm going to start spreading it, or spreading like splattering, and you can see tiny little droplets. That's what I want. So very gently and very slow. Just watch how big the droplets are. You can practice with just paint too. I'm moving very slowly and very gently, rubbing my finger off the fibers of the brush. Now I have to wait for this to dry, and once this is dry, then I'll start working on the snow and then the sky. For the color palette, I'm using basic color palette because it's red, yellow, blue. And that's all I want for this overall landscape. And then Van Dyke Brown Burnt Sienna for the buildings. For the blues, I do have 3 or even 4 because I have cobalt blue, manganese blue nova, phthalo blue, indigo. You don't have to have like more than 2, for example. It would be ideally to have like a lighter shade of blue, primary blue, maybe like phthalo blue red shade, and indigo for the darkest parts of in the sky. But I want to add different shade of blue to make it a little prettier, so that's why I'm using manganese blue nova and cobalt blue, which is my main blue anyway. But please don't feel any pressure using the same colors. Now to change the shade of the blue, all you need is a little bit of red or even yellow, and we're gonna do that. So I'll combine the yellow, blue, red for the snow on the bottom. Now we're not going to perfectly mix these colors on the palette because that's not about mixing or creating a new color. Instead, you just want to quickly grab the 3 colors, for example, and let these colors to mix on the paper. You want to actually see the separation of colors, so you create different shades of that blue, the tone that we see in the snow. Hi, my friends. Let's wet the paper. The way we're gonna wet it, we're gonna wet the portion of the sky, and then we're going to kind of leave a little bit of the area paper dry because we have nice highlights over the snow coming from the sky, and we don't want to lose those highlights if we if we wet everything, and it's kind of like the colors from the sky might bleed too much over it, which would be fine. It's just that we want a contrast here. So best way to explain is by showing it to you. So I'm wetting the paper. This is my flat 40 brush Da Vinci's Casaneo. This is a rough watercolor paper, 140 pounds. And for now, I'm just gonna go over here or up to the sketch line where I have the snow. So by now, my masking is 100% dry. Now, I'm gonna start wetting the bottom part, but I'm not gonna go all the way to that sketch line. And I'm going to avoid the buildings. So the houses, those are gonna stay paper dry. So try to use the edge of your brush to go along these sketch lines. Basically have like shapes, triangles, lines. So I'm gonna use my round 8 golden 1. So there is a little like, well, I added snow here, so I'm just gonna stop right there. The best thing is if you can study my painting and you see like where I left the areas paper dry, where I didn't let the paint to bleed, just to create those highlights. A little more water here, more water on my round 8. And then avoiding wetting the buildings, the houses, the little cabins, I guess. All right, I'm gonna grab a actually smaller brush, flat brush for the sky. We're gonna start with the lighter colors of the sky. So I'm gonna grab some of this manganese blue nova. Now I have too much water. I want this to feel more like a milk-like ratio. Cobalt blue, there is manganese, a little bit of red, So that's my shade. I'm going to change this shade as I apply colors. So the lightest part is going to be here, but we also have clouds. So for the clouds, I'm going to kind of stay away, but I want a little more of the red. There you go. So I'm going to show that these are the clouds right here. And then it's more purple-ish, right? Like blue-violet, I want to say, because I'm adding more more red with my cobalt blue and manganese blue nova. So I went really low, right? Can you see that? I hope you do. I'm going to take close-up photos so you can see everything. Now I grabbed a little more of the color overall. So the value is a little darker right on the bottom. And I keep going. I don't want to stop. When you stop, I want to show you, this is what happens. The paint just spreads in one area. So you want to kind of go with this consistent stroke through the paper. Now I want this to continue with this milk-like ratio. Now I'm going to grab a little bit of phthalo blue, more of the phthalo blue, and then indigo right on the top here. Now I got to remember there's clouds everywhere. Actually, we do see clouds. So I don't have to have like a nice, perfectly nice smooth layer. And it looks like, I don't know, those are actually clouds, I think. Mountains, maybe clouds. I can't see really well in this reference, from the reference image, what's going on there. That's okay. I'm gonna grab more of the blues, red, and go back here. As you see, I'm not working like to create like a perfect smoothness everywhere in the sky. Well, it is a smooth layer, but like I have it like different colors. I'm trying to recreate different shades. Some of that red again, cobalt blue, and the top part needs to be the darkest. Now I'm going back here a little bit. I could use more manganese, but it's a little too late now. Well, it's not too late, it's just that I would have to squeeze color, and I want to just focus here on applying these colors. So my best bet is basically to let go of these lower parts and focus on adding the darks. So there's my cobalt blue, some red, phthalo blue. Again, try not to overly mix the colors, and focus on applying those darkest shades on top. So over here, and remember the bottom we can re-wet it because we didn't, there's no like water that would touch from the bottom to the top, so there will be no color bleeding there. But try to make the top part of the sky the darkest, and then you can kind of like go back a little bit lower too, just because we have these clouds. So very quick strokes. I want to say confident strokes, because you really don't want to stop right there and for example like this, and you stop, because then you can see like the way the paint settles, it spreads differently. So you want quick strokes. So I feel like this is okay now. Now because I have some of this indigo, I want to go a little lower. I'm sorry about the noise in the background. I had a feeling it's going to happen, but I just was so excited to paint this. Well, in my head, it's always worst comes to worst, I'll just repaint this. So now I'm going to grab quickly my flat 40 and go back to these areas where I was just wetting, but because it dried a little bit, that's okay. It will stay wet even longer now because I'm re-wetting it. Not too much water, well, enough water to make it wet, but before you apply colors, you don't want any puddles of water. So the sky is done. It could be actually slightly darker here, I'd say. So because I've been painting the sky for a few minutes, now it's more like a heavy cream-like ratio on my brush. Heavy cream between water and paint, even cream top, but very quick strokes. I don't want like the separation, like I don't want to actually lift colors. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, I'm going to clean this flat brush because I'm going to use it now for the snow. Now before that, actually, I want to do one more thing. I feel like the clouds should be a little more visible. I'm grabbing like a heavy cream to cream top of the phthalo blue in quin red, and just to add a little bit on top. I should have manganese. It's just so I can define these clouds a little better. Well, we can see there are clouds-ish. Alright, I'm gonna clean the brush and then I'm gonna grab that flat 24. Let's grab now some of the cobalt blue manganese, some of the yellow as well, and red. Very quick strokes, or very quick grab, and very quick strokes. Now, let's remember, we're trying to create a contrast, so these parts are the lightest. And then very quick strokes overall, but you want to show there's volume. So just a little more color, and grab some phthalo blue as well. So we're matching the colors of the sky. I'm so sorry about the noise outside. My voice might sound muffled a little bit when I edit this class. I can already see it happening. So I'm going to get closer here. And we want to make sure this is all lighter, like here overall. We still want color, but the darkest part would be on the bottom. So I'm grabbing like from here where I have phthalo blue, queen red, indigo. I'm just going to add it like right there to make it darker. And here, so we can see like the contrast, a little bit of that indigo maybe on the bottom here. So we can see all these colors that we used, right? To show these colors that we used. I'm gonna clean my brush. I'm gonna grab a smaller brush, my round 8. What I need to do is grab a little bit of those blues with the red, basically, and add it for the shadows. So where do we see shadows? I see shadow like here, overall here. The shadow would be here, and then we have another area that's covering the cabin. So basically like in between. And this should be like a heavy cream, so you have the most control. And I feel like I see like so much, like something like lines, volume, right, of this snow that I could have a little more. This is a little bit of the indigo as well, but I didn't add the masking fluid. So what I'm gonna have to do is just maybe splatter water on the bottom, or even we can add, you know what would work? Adding salt. I'm actually add salt here. Now to have that salt nicely showing, we have to make sure we have some color. So that's why I'm making sure this is all much darker. Salt would be nice for sure. A little closer here, this is all snowy. We have all that snow. So for the snow, the best timing to apply that salt is actually when the paper feels damp. It's basically like when we lift the colors. So I'm just gonna wait one more minute, and I have my salt here ready. You know what? I'm gonna start applying salt. So right in here. And I can see like it's already happening there. Maybe I added a little too much in one area. So salt in the foreground. I just want it in the foreground. Perfect. What I'm going to do is grab my round 2 brush, Somber Details. What I'm going to do is grab diluted burnt sienna with Van Dyke brown. I don't want to mix the colors, I just want to grab them. So it's more like a milk-like ratio. And I'm just going to go for these cabins. So the rooftops. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's all covered in, well, kind of covered in snow. So technically I could have splattered masking fluid here as well. And then a little more of that Van Dyke brown. And then I want to show there's some windows. Not this building here or the cabin that I'm painting, it's not there in the reference. I just added it. But I'm following like the same kind of colors, the color scheme, and just like how I would apply it right here, for example. Now try not to touch the background because then the color will bleed there. Now the safest, obviously, it's to wait till the paper is fully dry. But if you feel like this is, you're okay with it, you may as well add it now. This way the painting won't take too long. if you can complete it all. Doesn't have to be like perfectly covered. As you see, I'm not covering all of the parts. Now what I want to grab is Van Dyke Brown and some of the indigo, and so I can add shadows, more of the indigo. So the shadows would be right underneath the rooftop. So the idea is to mix colors on the paper, number one. We also want to like leave some spaces, some areas paper dry. Now you can see some paint went over there, it's okay. So what parts are the darkest here? It would be like here, here, and then right underneath the rooftop. So use a smaller brush. Well, this is so tiny, so you actually do want to use a smaller brush. Just so you have like some control there. Now what's going on here is some door frame there, this, that. Okay, I want more of the Van Dyke Brown Bernstein. I didn't clean my brush, so technically everything is like super dirty. But I can still see the browns, the shade of brown. And again, don't worry about making it perfect. It's really all about light and shadows. Try to go for like the mid-tones. There you go, and then the darkest tone. So now, because this is wet, I just grabbed like a heavy cream to cream top from the tip of my brush. This is already dry, but I needed to add some darks there, and then the same thing here. So it's like, it looks like shadow is like right here in this corner, and then next to the snow right here. Now we also have to add like some antennas, or there's like a post, but I do need a little more of the blue here, right here. And then this one has a rooftop, or not rooftop, it has a chimney. That's what I meant. A little bit of that, and I need to add like posts and stuff like that too. But don't worry about perfect, it's not important. I have to wait maybe a minute or two because I want to add the post. Actually, I can do it already. All right, I'm gonna grab my Ricoh brush size 2, Songbird Details, and I'm gonna like dry brush through it. This is my indigo, and this is Van Dyke Brown. It's like between heavy cream and cream top on the tip of my brush. So I have, let's see what I have here. Yeah, it's like an antenna or something. Quick strokes. Dry brushing is okay because it then looks more natural. And then there's that post. Simple like that. Actually, it goes through the middle, and I should have left like an area paper white. Just keep that in mind if you want to make it more like what you see in the reference. And then since I have this pointy part of my brush, like the fibers at the end are so pointy, I can add like a couple more strokes with this dark value. Just remember, perfect is not, this is not about perfect. That's why you just leave little dots and lines. And then let's actually finish this rooftop here on this side. And then why don't we add like a little something here too. But I need some Van Dyke Brown because this is too blue. Something, whatever that is. I just made it up. Okay, this here too. Something maybe there. Because the little lines and dots, that's what makes it more interesting and natural. So thank you so much for now, and then let's just be patient with this and let it dry. Hi friends, welcome back. So everything has dried, and I started removing masking fluid using this pickup cement eraser. You have to be very gentle. There's a lot of masking to remove when it comes down to these stars. And I also have my regular eraser to remove some of the sketch lines. So the only thing I wish I did more, I wish I added more masking fluid for the stars and for the snowflakes, or just kind of stars, I guess, because it's a really nice effect. I love it. So I'm going to do this in my next painting as well. Thank you so much for your time, and please let me know if you have any questions.